when I think about how much of my life was lived behind a guarded wall. Well, I don't think about that anymore. What would it be, and what would your life be like if you could live your life completely unbound the way that song says? What would it feel like for all of us to come out from behind all of our walls and all of our boundaries? What would it be like for all of us to really drop all of the stuff that keeps us in place? What would that be like, I wonder? What would that look like? Unbound. What would it look like if I really held nothing back in my life? Nothing. Because there was nothing to worry about. There was nothing to fear. What would it be like if you really held nothing back from this universe, from the life you're living? What would it be like if you were unbound? What would it be like if everything, every single thing in this universe was open to you? That everything life had to offer was yours for the taking. Unbound, to me, means I'm free to make whatever life I want. And there's nothing stopping me, and there's nothing holding me back, and all of my excuses and all of my yeah buts just fall to the ground. What would that feel like if I was standing? Would you all like a dose of that? Yeah. I say thank you to Gary, because when he sings it, I feel it. And I say thank you to Caressa, because she reminded us this morning that it's so easy to forget it. It's so easy to stand here and watch this gorgeous man, and with this breathtaking voice, sing those words. It's so easy to be just captured by that, taken away, and all of a sudden, I am unbound. I have dropped all of my defenses. I just want to sing, dance, be whatever I want to be. And Caressa reminds us that we then leave this theater and some things show up, and they all come back up again. Sometimes. Sometimes. Not today, though, right? Not today, though, right? Okay, good. So, I mean, here's the thing. That's the way we were born. We were born unbound, weren't we? Do you ever see a child, a baby, sitting there going, I don't know. I don't know if I should crawl over there. That could be scary. Babies don't do that. I remember when I had Will and Nora for the very first time, they were about 5 or 6 months old, maybe 10 months old. I don't remember how old they were, but they were just starting to crawl. And I was going to have them by myself for the very first time because, there are 4 parents. We were always all over them. But for this one day, I was going to have them all by myself. Kevin was doing Annie Get Your Gun on Broadway, so he wasn't around. So I picked them up, put them in their car seats, drove them home, got to my house, got out of the car and thought, how do you pick them both up at the same time? Oh my God. So I picked one up and put it under here and picked the other one up. I carried them into the house and I put them on the floor and we all just sat there and they're just looking at me like, what? And then, Nora starts to crawl away and I go, oh, and then Will starts to crawl away. And it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I didn't have a corral. The house had been baby-proofed. But my point is, they know who they are. They are unbound. They just go. They just crawl away. And I didn't really have the arms long enough to keep them both. And I remember sitting there just going, you are going to sit here. There's going to be a great few hours where you just get to look at me. And these children, they really weren't interested in that. They were like, I've seen you for the last 10 months. No. I want to see what's happening here. And I ended up having to put them in the crib together. I was like, here, now you're contained. And you know what happens then. They don't want that. So that's who we were. We were these unabashed, perfect beings that knew that everything was ours. It was ours to have, it was ours to do, it was ours to explore. All of it was ours. We already were unbound. And there is that within us that already is unbound. The Buddhist mystic Ramana Maharshi says this: liberation is our very nature. We are that. The very fact that we wish for liberation shows that freedom from all bondage is our real nature. So our true nature is someone who has no boundaries, that doesn't have walls, that doesn't take the past and create limitations from it. That's our true nature. Someone who's willing to forget everything, as Caressa said, and turn it over to God. Just become one with God, and then trust and know God knows what to think through me. God knows what to do here. God knows where to move me. God knows where to point me. God knows where to move me and bring me into this world. God knows everyone that should be coming my way. That's what we're talking about today. That concept, that ability to be so unbound that something greater steps through us and in us and moves us on. So the title of my talk today, the Caressa said, is What If Nothing Could Hold You Back, Then What? And I want to talk about the then what. So, what if nothing could hold you back? Then what? What would it look like? I mean, here's the thing. It's the truth. Nothing can hold you back. There is nothing outside of your mind that can hold you back. And every single thing here this morning that you think is holding you back is a lie. It's just not the truth. Now, here's the difference between the truth, with a capital T, and some truths that we've all been taught, and the facts that we've lived our lives by. They're all relative. And you know what I say, get rid of your relatives. That's a joke. I mean, seriously, what would it be like if you gave up all of your excuses? I mean, what if it's really true? What if it's absolutely true that there's nothing holding you back? Nothing has the power to hold you back. Nothing has the power to hold you back. This economy does not have the power to make you struggle. It just doesn't. There is no power in the economy. There is no power in your boss. There is no power in the job market. There is no power in the field of relationships. The only power, what am I saying? The only power is your mind. That's it. And that's the truth. The only truth there is that all there is God. I have to say I love doing CPR, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's taking it because you've given me the opportunity to take it. And when things pop into my head from that divine source that says all there is God, now act accordingly. Act accordingly. If all there is God, how can I think this isn't? If all there is God, how can I believe that has any power over me? It just doesn't. God is not bound by stuff. God is unbound. God is not bound by excuses. God is unbound. So what if you gave up all the excuses? What if you gave up all the excuses? God is not bound by limitations. God is unbound. So what if you gave up all the limitations in your life? And that means giving up your attachment to these limitations. That means giving up beliefs that you have that tell you that these things can hold me back. There was someone on the CPR that wrote me a personal email about a career that this person had had, a very vibrant, big career that this person had had, and that this person just can't get past the belief that that career is impossible to have at this age. And I know that we can factually prove that. And I know that it seems logical to prove that. And yet Betty White comes along and shows that she didn't buy into it. Right? So why do I? Or why do you? Why do any of us buy into anything that says to us that we are limited? What if everything you say you want is there for the taking? Everything. I mean everything. Now, part of that then goes back to how free are you in what it is you want? Are your desires linked into your beliefs? And yes, they are. Unbound, to me, means that you're willing to drop all of the beliefs that no longer serve you. And therefore only go to the beliefs that make sense, spiritual sense, what I call spiritual logic. Because guess what? Spiritual logic says it is there for the taking. Everything is there for the taking. But first we have to name it. And that means we have to get everything out of the way so that we're not afraid to name what it is we have decided to experience. And that means I can name anything I want. Anything I want. I am not bound by anything that tells me differently. So if I want this, to experience this, I just have to name it. And the minute I'm willing to name it, the universe is willing to give it to me. But first I have to take it. And by taking it means I have to become equal to it in my mind. So first I must name it. I loved, Edwene Gaines was at our center yesterday, and she was just incredible. And she said this, she said, I wish I could do her accent, but I can't. She said, God said to us, ask and it shall be given. He didn't say, make me guess. I loved that. I was like, exactly. We have so much going on in our minds that negates what it is we want. The very thing we think we want is so far at the bottom of the list of importance in our mind. God would really have to do a real number on me to get down far enough to find out what it is I thought I wanted. Because what I think I can't have is so much more powerful at times. She also said yesterday that God is not a mind reader. However, I disagree. God is a mind reader. In fact, God is reading my mind all the time. Because that's what God is, my mind. It's the law. God is always reading my mind. I'm just giving it some really crappy things to read. Did you ever feel that way? No? Okay, but I do. God is always reading my mind. Always. Whatever I am putting in here, the mind is answering and knowing exactly what I know. Equal parts to it. The definition of unbound is this: not having been fastened together as in pages of a book. Okay? It goes on to say, not attached to other issues, as in periodicals. But I like the idea of not being attached to our issues. What if our truths were not bound together with all of our issues? Anyone here have any issues? Well, what if we took all of our issues and created a different book and then actually said it's no longer in print? You can't read it. Wouldn't that be awesome? To be the publisher of my own life? These words don't work anymore. So these don't get to come into this book, this pressed book. I love that concept. Then we would be unbound. Open your mind. Unfold your heart. When I heard the song the first time and I heard unfold your heart, I just had this image of this. Anyone ever found themselves standing like this? Do you catch yourself now doing that? Okay, Dana does. So Dana and I catch ourselves. You will never see me do this. The minute I go to do it, I don't. Because as soon as I do it, sometimes I'll do this. I'll literally go, because I'm so clear that this to me means I am closing myself off. Really, I guarantee you, if you ever see me do this, just point it out to me. That'll make me real happy. But point it out to me. So it doesn't even feel good. It just feels, it's so constricting. I'm like Houdini without the ability. Open your mind, unfold your heart. It just goes right through me. Relax your senses. Feel every part. I love that line because what it says to me is, and this is something we really have to get clear on in religious science, we must be willing to feel what we're feeling and not pretend we don't feel it. We must be willing to allow the feelings to work through us and not pretend there are good feelings and bad feelings and then fight the bad feelings, because guess what? There's your focus. That's the focus, and that's what the mind's paying attention to. We have to be willing to feel it all. If God is all there is, and God is all there is, then God is everywhere present in all of it. I shared this morning on CPR that, I really got it. When I was going through chemo, and I was puking up everything I could possibly think of and thinking it was over, and then there's more. I moved from this horrible feeling into humor. I just had to start laughing. Because I got it. I went, oh my God, God's even down here under the toilet. It was the most bizarre moment of my life, and yet a moment I don't know how I'd have gotten to any other way. And I never need to get it that way again. Ever. But I do know that, and I'm grateful for it. So, unbound, not having been fastened together as in pages of a book. I just love this whole concept. Breathe every breath and breathe every breath and release. Breathe every breath. Breathe every breath and release your cringe. Your cringe. Anybody got any cringes out here? I've seen you cringe. I have watched people cringe. My entire family, they developed the cringe. They did. Some of my aunts, you look in the dictionary, cringe, Aunt Carolyn. She said she was going to watch this week. Great. Okay, so, and then she'll say, and that's why I don't watch. So, release the cringe. We have to be willing to let go of those faces we make. First of all, they make lines, just so y'all know. You know? There's a character in one of my plays that looks in the mirror and says, what are these laugh lines doing here? And what the hell have I been laughing at all these years? It's really about the cringe. Okay? So, are you willing to let go of your cringe? And you know, for me, what that really means is, are you willing to let go of one of those things that need to be released, which is judgment? Are you willing to let go of judgment? Are you a judgmental person? Raise your hand. No, I'm kidding. I am. Go ahead. Say something about it. Go ahead. Now I'm back to Philly. Go ahead. Okay, so release the cringe. Release our judgments. Love without waiting. And slowly unhinge. I love the word unhinge. I love the concept of becoming unhinged. Of just all of a sudden, all the stuff in my life comes up at the same time, and I am just unhinged. You haven't seen me in these moments. When everything just comes up, right? I am like a barrel of laughs in those moments. Everything comes up, and it's like, I love that, because you know what? It means it's on its way out. But we fight so much to keep that hinged there together, to keep hinged. And yet, I think what Spirit's constantly saying to us is, oh my God, just let go. And if you have to look like a complete, utter mess for a moment, just mess it up. Anybody ever look like a mess? I want to tell you, if you had seen me at Ralph's this morning at 7:50, I had on sweatpants, these big galoshes, I had a black hat on, glasses so no one would recognize me, and some really stupid shirt because I realized I was out of eggs. And I was like, I have never been the kind of person that would go to the market looking like this. I was like, awesome. That's unbound. That is being unhinged. Just whatever, world. Let's all say that. Ready? Whatever, world. Did that feel good? Okay, do it the way I do it, though. Ready? Okay. Whatever, world. Okay. You know why you can say that? Because you ain't got a thing to fear. Because it looks like love is growing here. And that's when we get that, we get it all. When I get it, that all that's happening at any moment is love growing in me, growing as me, then even what doesn't look so lovely or loving, I have to know deep down in the roots of me, it is. That's all part of this unfolding. I love this. Take your guard and let it down. Go deeper still until you come unwound, unbound. So again, I'd like to ask you, what if nothing could hold you back? Then what? Well, then you would lift up your voice, and you would let it be heard. And you would tell me your story, and you wouldn't leave out one single word. Your story. Your story. Every single one of us here has a story to tell. And if we would release ourselves from all this stuff, and actually, as Caressa said, step into who we truly are, then we would be free to unabashedly tell our story. Our voices would start to be unique. Our voices would start to be not similar. Our voices would start to be so fascinatingly different. And it would be okay if my voice was different from yours. It would be okay. Tell your story. Open your mind. Now, he ends this entire song with open your mind and unfold your heart, just in case you didn't hear it the first time. So you heard it here today. Open your mind and unfold your heart. Drop your defenses. Let go of your walls and boundaries. Stop being afraid, because there is something bigger than you that's really running the show. So what if nothing could hold you back? Then what? Then what? Will and Nora have taught me so much in my life. And this morning, when I was working on this talk, they taught me something else. As I was going back to that moment where they were crawling away from me and I was literally feeling like I could not protect them because they were getting farther and farther away, and twins just know how to divide and conquer. And as I was sitting there, I thought to myself, I think sometimes I don't crawl away because I'm afraid someone's not going to protect me. I think sometimes I don't jump into my life full throttle because I'm afraid somehow I could get hurt. Or maybe I won't succeed at this. Maybe the pain of this will be worse than just not trying it in the first place. And then I realized that I am God. And that Will and Nora were always safe, and were always protected in my presence, and will always be. Because I do have arms long enough to reach everything. Because I have a mind that is big enough to reach everything, that is wide enough and expansive enough to reach everything, because my mind is a mind that is one with the mind of God, and God will always be able to reach around, grab me in its brilliant, beautiful love and grace, and always remind me that there is nothing but love here. So go out, change the world, be who you are meant to be, do what you are meant to do, and watch what happens, because that's the then what. Namaste. Thank you.